In the name of God, in whom we live and move and have our being. Amen.
Amen.
So, Jesus Christ was on the move, as always, actually. In today's gospel, Jesus is somewhat rejected by the local hometown folks who we're told took offense at him. Mostly because they were the ones who were supposed to know him the most, and actually, consequently, ended up knowing him the least. What's that old saying about familiarity breeding contempt? Maybe that was it. Or maybe they just thought that they had him pegged into a certain place, and when he moved beyond it, and he did move way beyond it, they got confused. And they probably got a little scared as well. Where did this man get all this? They asked. Don't we know this guy? He's the carpenter's kid, right? We know his family, and we know where he's from and who he's supposed to be, don't we? But Jesus was on the move. And they were offended by the fact that he moved beyond their narrow categories and opinions and ideas to believe something, to become something, someone far beyond anything that they could envision or expect or even understand. Jesus was on the move. And it seems like Jesus was always on the move. It isn't easy keeping up with God, It isn't easy keeping up with the Holy Spirit, who always leads us beyond our hopes and dreams and desires to the hopes and dreams and desires of God. So Jesus was always on the move. And he taught his followers to be always on the move as well. This morning, we heard about some of his advice to them. Some of his advice to them about being on the move. And as always, it's advice for us as well. And this is what he had to say. He said, travel light, and travel together. Travel light, and travel together. So let's take a little look at each one of those things. Travel. Go. Don't just sit there hoarding all that good news about God. It's not just for you. It's for everyone and everything in all creation. So take it on the road. Take it to the streets. Go tell it on the mountains. God is love. And everyone in the world needs to know that. And they need to experience it for themselves. Especially right now. Take that good news and give it away to anyone and everyone who is willing to receive it. To anyone and everyone who is willing to receive you. To anyone and everyone who's willing to receive God. Because when they receive you, they receive God. Jesus said so. Travel. Jesus sent them out. Travel. Secondly, travel light. Don't get bogged down by trying to bring too much stuff along with you, because you don't really need it for anything. God will take care of you every step of the way. You might never have a lot, but you'll always have enough. You'll have just enough. And in your need, you will give others the opportunity to minister to you as you minister to them. By doing that, you enter directly into the life of God, into the life of the Holy Trinity, in which God is given to God and God receives God. You'll be swept up by the Holy Spirit into the eternal self-giving of God. Swept up into God. Who could ask for anything more than that? Travel light. Feel free to run on empty in order to be filled with the infinite love of God. Travel light. And lastly, travel together. Jesus sent them out 2 by 2, we're told. I suppose it could have been 3 by 3 or 4 by 4 or 10 by 10 or whatever. The point is that they were never supposed to go alone. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, Jesus says elsewhere, I am there among them. God is all about community. We know that here. God is all about community. You cannot be a Christian alone. You can't. So yes, you can and should have an intimate personal relationship with God. Yes, silence and solitude are 2 of the most time-tested tools for deepening our spirituality and for getting to know God more profoundly. And yes, there are even times when we need to be alone with God for extended periods of time. But no one can be a Christian alone. Because we are made in the image and likeness of God. And God is a community. God is a community in the Holy Trinity. God is love, and we are called to be love. And you can't be love all by yourself. It just doesn't work that way. Travel together. The God who is love will be your guide, your journey, and your destination. Travel together. So Jesus was on the move. Jesus was always on the move. And down through the centuries, Christians have been on the move as well. Some of the greatest saints were itinerant wanderers. From the desert fathers and mothers of the early centuries of the church to the mendicants of the Middle Ages, St. Francis of Assisi and St. Dominic, their followers, to our modern-day missionaries and social justice workers who travel around the world to bring the love and mercy of God to others. Christians have always been and always will be on the move. And that is because God is always on the move. God is always on the move. The Spirit of God moves with unfathomable love and compassion and in perfect freedom to bring life and wholeness out of death and brokenness, to bring joy out of pain, to bring hope out of despair, to bring light out of darkness, for everyone and everything in God's beloved creation. Everyone, everywhere, every time. So Jesus says, travel light, and travel together. It isn't easy keeping up with God, you know. It isn't easy keeping up with the Holy Spirit, who always leads us beyond our hopes and dreams and desires to the hopes and dreams and desires of God. Jesus Christ was always on the move. The Holy Spirit is always on the move. God is always on the move. Loving, changing, transforming, holding, healing, calling all of creation forward into what we will be together for God. Amen.